My wife cheated for years and lied about our daughter's true father, only to reveal she was never mine after all, and now I'm questioning everything. Hey Reddit. My wife and I have been together for 15 years. We met in college, and things moved pretty fast. She was funny, intelligent, and seemed so genuine. We got married just a year after graduation, and I felt like I was the luckiest guy in the world. A few years into our marriage, we had our daughter, Lily. She's been the light of my life. She always has this incredible smile and energy, and honestly, she's the reason I've kept pushing forward despite the hardships life throws at us. A few months ago, I started noticing things weren't right between my wife and me. She'd become distant, was always on her phone, and sometimes came home late from work with flimsy excuses. At first, I chalked it up to stress or maybe some issues at her job that she wasn't comfortable sharing with me. But the suspicions kept creeping in. I never wanted to be that guy who doubts his spouse, but something deep inside me felt off. Eventually, I broke down and looked at her messages while she was asleep one night. I felt guilty even doing it, but what I found was far worse than anything I could have imagined. She'd been talking to someone for months, maybe even years. The texts were full of affection and intimacy, things she hadn't said to me in a long time. My heart sank as I read through their conversations, and it felt like my entire world was crumbling. After a sleepless night, I confronted her the next morning. She broke down in tears, admitted she'd been cheating, and tried to assure me it was just an emotional affair, that nothing physical had ever happened. As much as it hurt, I tried to convince myself to believe her. But then came the twist I never saw coming. After a few days, when the initial anger had cooled down a bit, she dropped a bombshell on me. She told me there was a possibility that our daughter, Lily, might not be my biological child. I was in absolute shock. How could she do this to me, to our family? I demanded a paternity test, and she agreed, though I could see the guilt written all over her face. The results came back, and the nightmare was confirmed. Lily wasn't my biological daughter. She was the child of someone she'd had a brief fling with around the time she and I were trying to start a family. She had known all along, and yet she let me believe I was Lily's father, let me invest everything into being her dad without a single word of the truth. Update. It's been a few weeks since I found out the truth, and to say my emotions have been a roller coaster would be an understatement. I've tried everything to process this: therapy, talking to friends and family, and even writing it out here. But nothing seems to lessen the sting of betrayal. I feel like I was robbed of my entire reality. Lily, who still doesn't know anything, is starting to pick up on the tension between us. She keeps asking if something is wrong, and I can't bring myself to tell her what's really happening. How do you tell a child that her mom lied and that the man she's always called dad isn't biologically connected to her? And more importantly, do I even want her to know? She's still my daughter, even if not by blood, but this whole situation has me questioning everything. My wife, or rather my soon-to-be ex-wife, keeps begging me to forgive her, saying she's truly sorry and never wanted to hurt me or Lily. She claims she never told me because she thought it wouldn't matter, that we could be a family regardless. But I feel like that decision wasn't hers to make alone. I deserve to know the truth. I'm currently staying at a friend's place while I figure things out. Part of me wonders if I should even stay in Lily's life after all this. I love her, but I'm not sure if I can separate her from the betrayal of her mother. The pain runs so deep, and I don't know if I can move past it. Another update. After a lot of back and forth and countless sleepless nights, I decided to meet with my wife again to talk things through, mainly about Lily. We sat down, and she reiterated how much she regrets her actions, especially the impact they're having on Lily. She begged me not to take out my anger on her, and that's when I realized something. I'm not angry with Lily. I'm angry at the lies, at the betrayal, at the stolen years of honesty in my marriage. I also had a heart-to-heart with my therapist, who reminded me that my connection with Lily isn't defined by blood. I've been her dad in every sense of the word. She's my daughter, and she needs me, especially now. Knowing the truth doesn't change the fact that she sees me as her father, and despite everything, I still want to be that person for her. I've started to think about what's best for Lily's future. I know I can't let my relationship with her be tarnished because of her mother's choices. So, for now, I'm trying to find a way to forgive, not for my wife's sake but for Lily's. I know that walking away from her would break her heart, and I refuse to let her suffer for her mother's mistakes. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, though. My wife and I are proceeding with a divorce, but I'm considering co-parenting with her. Lily deserves to feel safe and loved by both parents, no matter what happened between us. I don't know how I'll cope seeing my ex every time I'm with Lily, but I'll do my best to be civil for her sake. Final update. It's been 3 months now, and things are complicated. Co-parenting with my ex-wife has been an emotional minefield, but I'm starting to find my footing. Lily still doesn't know the full truth, and I'm planning to tell her someday, but not until she's older and better equipped to handle it. For now, I'm focusing on being the best dad I can be for her. There are still days where the betrayal feels raw, and it's hard not to let my emotions slip. I'm taking things day by day, learning to separate my role as Lily's dad from the hurt that lingers. It's like I'm rebuilding my life from scratch, but every moment with her reminds me that it's worth it. As for my ex-wife, we've managed to establish a somewhat functional relationship. She's apologized countless times, and while I'm not ready to forgive, I am ready to move forward. For Lily's sake, I've decided to let go of some of the anger, but trust is something I doubt I'll ever be able to extend to her again. I wish I had some grand, uplifting ending to this story, but the truth is that life doesn't wrap up that neatly. I'm still healing, still processing, and probably will be for a long time. But through it all, one thing is clear: Lily is my daughter, no matter what. And while the circumstances of her birth have shaken my faith in the people I once trusted, they haven't shaken my love for her. For anyone out there dealing with betrayal, my advice is this: focus on the things that still matter to you. Life will break you in ways you never expect, but sometimes, the pieces that remain are the ones worth holding on to.